All right, so let's flip the script a little bit on you ladies, okay? What female artists are you listening to? Are they African artists? Are they international artists? And what TV shows are you watching? Same way. Is it local? Is it international? What is it?
So I think both of my artists are definitely international.
Okay.
So the first one on the list would have to be SZA. I love her music, and I just love how it's different from like all that, because I'm trying to lean more towards music that's, I don't know, more calming, but still has that vibe and that R&B feel. So she's definitely like killing it, and her music is just, I don't know, it's just...
I get you.
It's great.
Yeah.
And secondly would probably be Solange as well, because she just, I don't know, she just has that really calming vibe about her, and it's just very flowy. I love. I get it. You could just like eat her music or something. Like
I get it.
Yeah, she's an incredible artist.
Interesting.
And the shows that I'm watching, I'm definitely watching Blood and Water. I haven't finished the last season, but I just love how I just love how it's a high school show. It's not very like realistic, but I love that part about it, and just seeing like how crazy these people's lives get in high school. And it's a really great show.
Okay, no, listen, I love me some Blood and Water, don't you? Popcorn even. Binge watching. That's how I watch that show.
I also mostly listen to international artists too, but I also do listen to some local artists. But most frequently is the international one. Namely, the first one, I think it would have to be Cleo Soul. Cleo Soul for me, her music is just so uplifting, you know. Whenever, you know, I feel like I'm having a bit there, I put her on and I'm already smiling, and I'm just, and she also has that gospel feel, it's her music, so definitely Cleo Soul.
Nice.
And then I also love Erykah Badu. Ooh.
Queen Mother.
She is my soul.
Queen Mother.
So I actually discovered her late in life when I was like already in tertiary school. And I don't know why, but when I just listened to her, I remember the first song that I heard of her was Didn't You Know? You know, and you know, listening to that song, I was like, damn, even like the beats, the production in the background is just like phenomenal. And she takes pride in who she is, in being black. And I really love her music a lot. And it's her vibe is a bit.
Love Erykah.
Yeah, she's lovely.
You don't have to tell me twice. She's always on my playlist. She's just phenomenal. I grew up with Erykah in the house playing, and she's just a queen.
Her aura, like even when you look at her, the things that she likes, you know, one of the things that I also like about her, she will tell you that anything that she wears, like she likes whatever she's wearing to like have some music sound to it, like her bangles, like or her bag, you know. I remember this one time she was showcasing her house, and she showed that she had this, what is it called? You know that bowl and you wind it. She was just saying it was a purse though, but it was like a purse and an instrument. I just forgot the name for that. But
I'm having a blank right now, but I know what you're talking about. Tibetan. I think it's a Tibetan bowl. I could be wrong. Something along those lines. But
she's that's how, even with the shoes, she likes them to make sound like. For me, she just has that vibe that I love so much about her. So
I hear you, girl. And TV-wise?
TV-wise, to be honest, I'm not really a
TV girly?
Yeah, I'm not a TV girly, a series girly. But I did watch Blood and Water, and I would say what I enjoy watching more is like YouTube channels. Specifically, there's this channel called Gaia and Spirit Science. These two channels, they just really educate you about the world that we live in, what it was before, how people were living, and it also like teaches you like some form of, I don't know, self-introspection, like to really consider like who you are and how that is connected to the world that was there before us, and how it's going to connect to the future generations that are going to come after us. So it also like strengthens like your spirituality, your religion if you're religious. So it really teaches you like to it empowers you, like.
I get you, girl.
Yeah, so
I get you,
Spirit
girl.
Science and Gaia are definitely my go-to shows on YouTube.
Okay, send me the links. I'd love to
I'll
check that out
definitely
because
send
that's
them.
also my jam. There's a lot of YouTubing in my house, but typically I'm listening to sounds and frequencies, certain elevated frequencies, that kind of thing.
Chandra Seba, I don't know if you know. Okay,
We'll put a pin in that.
I will.
But okay, so this is very interesting because I'm hearing that you really like local TV. You like your favorite shows. One of your favorite shows, definitely Blood and Water, and frankly, it deserves that, right? Is there a reason, when you think about it, that you're not really consuming predominantly African, perhaps music or TV? What do you feel like you're missing in terms of that?
I think definitely in terms of the TV, because you really can't argue that there isn't enough of it. There are hundreds and thousands of productions being made by like your local producers and everything. So that's definitely not the argument. So I think it's mainly about like how it gets to the consumer. So I think it's more so of a marketing issue, because if I go onto like Netflix's Instagram page, the first thing that I'm just going to use Riverdale as an example because it's at the top of my head.
Sure.
Like that's going to be the first thing that you see all over.
Sure.
And not your Nigerian produced shows and we talked about Nollywood being like a huge industry, and there are like so many series that were like produced within the Nollywood industry, but those aren't the first things that you're going to see on there. So I think it really is just like the marketing that you see, and because I'm genuinely going to watch the first thing that I see. So I think that's sort of the issue.
Do you share these sentiments?
Definitely, I relate to some extent, but for me, I would say that I'm not really consuming a lot of like local media. I don't really relate much with it. Maybe the things that I relate to are not as popular, because a lot of popular shows are just like
well, you sound kind of left-wing in terms of the things that you look for entertainment, off of the basis that you're not really consuming a lot of TV, but what you are consuming is much more spiritual, like in a different way.
Yes.
And that's not necessarily popular. So what I'm picking up, and I hear you from the marketing perspective, I think sometimes we need to realize that international companies, they come in not for us, they come in for themselves, and for their creations from their side. And when they have a pocket in what's being done locally, then they'll say, oh yeah, and we'll also, and we'll also make money from that. So even when we look at record labels, your Sony, your Gallows, typically these were American companies, your EMIs, that came into Africa, right? But they're here to promote their stuff to our continent because we are 1 billion people, right? One of the things that I saw Zimbabwe do really well, which was so surprising, was like 2003 or 2005, right around that time. The Zimbabwean government declared by law that there had to be 70% of local music played on radio. Yeah. And people went, what's this? How dare they? I mean, we're now going backwards. And the irony of that is that it helped us move forward as not just as artists, but as the people, because now we were able to relate more often with each other and connect from the place that art makes you connect. Did you get what I'm saying? In a way that American music just can't do. It's not because it's not great. It is great. There's just certain stories that only we can tell. Kenya then followed suit. I think it was 2018, and they created a law that stipulated 60% of the content that was on mainstream media had to be local. And when you look at the Kenyan industry, I mean, the entertainment industry from Kenya is just absolutely magnificent. On top of them speaking Swahili, which covers the entire eastern region of Africa. So can you imagine? They're not only appealing to themselves more, they're appealing to the region more, which then puts somebody like Diamond Platnumz being one of the highest streaming artists, if not the highest streaming artist on the continent today. And yet he may not necessarily be as popular in South Africa. But does it matter? No. It doesn't matter. He's getting that money. He's getting that money. Did you know that the creative industry is projected to be worth 80 billion United States dollars by the time 2025 hits? That is an incredible amount of opportunity for the youth. And today on this episode of That's What She Said, we unpack all the opportunities that are being created for the youth and for women in this industry. I am joined by some amazing ladies today. But first of all, I can introduce myself. My name is Ammara Brown. I am a musician and actress, and I'm not sure if I'm the host today. I feel like it's a table of hosts. I'm going to start to my right, honey. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you?
My name is Mosa. I am currently in grade 11 at Parktown High School for Girls, and I'm hoping to be an environmental lawyer when I grow up and hopefully be able to make a difference in that sector. I know that it's a bit like unconventional because everybody at my school wants to be like a doctor or like core course STEM subjects, but I think that's really my interest right now, and yeah.
Girl, I like unconventional. We are here for that, okay? Any day, all day, every day. And to my left, we have Gcina. Would you like to tell us about yourself?
Of course. My name is Gcina. Born and raised in Pietermaritzburg. Currently a student at the University of Johannesburg, doing my third year in a BA for Psychology and Communication Studies.
Yes, girl.
I am most passionate about music, arts and craft, archaeology here and there, and I love animals and nature. So yeah, that's me. One day I also hope to pursue the music path like you yourself, Ammara.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me.
That's so nice.
You don't have to beat me just to make your point. You don't have to fight me. All I need is your voice. Talk to me kindly.
All right. Well, this is a perfect mixture of all the goodies because today I'm not asking all the questions. We're flipping the script and you guys get to ask me because, yeah, I've been in this industry for a time.
Yes, you want the tea.
I'll give you the tea. Mosa, shoot, darling. Where do you want to start?
So the part where you mentioned about like Africa projecting to be making like $80 billion like by 2025, I just thought that it was very interesting because nobody talks about that because it's like such an unconventional sector like within like African culture and everything. So like a fact that I found like in an article was that Nollywood is like Nigeria's second largest employer, which is another conversation that we're not talking about. And mind you, that comes like after agriculture, which is huge, like within the African continent.
Yeah.
And on top of that, that doesn't even include like the music industry. So it's wild how much money they're making from that. And so I just wanted to ask you, like, in terms of like how long have you been in the industry? And like, have you seen like that shift that shows that like Africa is like making that much money within the industry?
Ooh, let's see. My very first job, I was 9 years old. Honestly, I was a 9-year-old girl. I went for auditions and all that kind of thing. And it was for a TV advert. And that was my first paycheck. So great being up till 1 o'clock in the morning. But, you know, that was very early stages in terms of like my walk into this industry. I got to work with Oliver Mtukudzi, who was an amazing creative, and his generation was very much in the same vein as my father, who was named Andy Brown. And why I'm mentioning this is because that was over 20 years ago. So I was privileged in the sense that I got to really see the struggles that musicians had or creatives had at the time, where, you know, my dad would go to a show, let's say, on the other side of the country, and you had to pay for your own transport as an artist. You had to figure out your own accommodation, and whatever money you made at the door was what you made. Good luck. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, like those kind of nuances were so extreme, and it put a lot of creatives in a very compromised position, which is why I think now people will be like, you want to be an artist? And it's just like, you know, you have to now explain to them time and time again. So I've gotten to see as those careers ended and ours began, they pass the baton on. We've got new struggles, right? So we've got laws. You're getting into law.
Yeah.
You understand how important that is. As a continent, we're now building on those laws that protect the artists and shift the way in which we are treated and how our art is respected and compensated for, right? So I've definitely seen a huge shift in that. If I look back 10 years ago, what I was making and what I had to argue for and, be at the table, be like, no, I'm not doing A, B, and C, D without X, Y, and Z. And now it's not even an argument. It's just like, oh, you don't have that together? Yeah, no, we're not doing that. There's no contract? No, then there's no booking. We can't give you a picture to promote anything without payments. There's so many nuances that we've grown from. And so now it makes sense because on top of the laws coming into play, we have like Africans coming together and like really interacting via social media. It's a global village that we're experiencing, and that explosion has put us in a position where, someone from Nigeria, I had to create a beautiful song for a Canadian company. Like, this animation studio reached out to me and they asked me to create a song that had a language from Nigeria, Swahili. They were like, we need about 4 different languages. And I was able to literally find someone in Kenya, someone in Ghana, someone in Nigeria, someone in South Africa, and I'm a Zimbabwean. And the paycheck was great. Just saying.
Yeah, I think it's really encouraging to hear that because not many people think of the positive sides, like your story right now, and how things have changed so much that you're not battling for a paycheck or anything. Because I think that's why people don't want their children to go into the industry, because those are the exact worries and stuff. So yeah,
sure. In fact, in Africa, the creative arts are not seen as a serious career path to pursue. In fact, if you were to tell any African parent right now that you want to pursue arts or music, something like that, they'll be like, "Haibo!" Hey! What is that? Out of so many things that you could pursue with the traditional job, your medicine, your engineering, your law, why would you choose that path? So for me, the question to you is how did you go about telling your parents that this is your dream, that this is what you want to do, and how did they react to that?
I feel so wild right now because I've had enough people tell me you're so lucky. When I told my parents that I wanted to do music, they didn't support me and na. But I had a completely different experience. So just to give you a bit of context, my father was a musician. He married my mom when he wasn't the most popular. He was still coming up in the industry. And even though they divorced, my mother got to see him blossom as an artist. So by the time I had that moment, I was 12 years old. I got my first solo in choir, and I was still in the States at the time. We spent a few years there, and I was so excited. And I remember running off the school bus, I couldn't wait to tell my mom. She was in a different shift, so she was there in the middle of the day and all this kind of thing. And I said, "Ma, I got the solo," and she was just like, "Oh, congratulations!" I was like, "I know, it's my first solo." But wait, that's not everything. And she's just like, "Yeah." I was just like, "I want to do this." And she says, "Yeah, for the rest of your life, you want to do this?" And I said, yes. I knew it. I knew it in my heart. I knew it in my bones. And she looked me dead in the eye and she was like, okay. And my mom was that person who, we're talking about the talent shows, the studio, my very first demo, that was my mom's paycheck. It was coming out of her pockets. Any and every opportunity, vocal lessons. I remember I took my first vocal lessons and they were terrible and I couldn't stand them and I cried because I felt like I had disappointed her by not enjoying the vocal lessons. They were so expensive. They were $50 an hour and I just remember just crying. I was like, "I'm so sorry." She's like, "It's okay." So she's making me sound like Britney Spears and blah. She was so supportive and she still did get me into studio, and we sent my dad the demo and he was just so proud. I think one of the greatest things my parents ever gave to me was that belief system that you can do anything you put your mind to. And I have so many beautiful memories to draw from. Even when they passed away, I was 23 years old and I I had just become a new mom, but I promise you, I could still hear them in my head saying, remember we discussed this. You still got to get this done. You've got this. You're capable. So even though I was shattered from an emotional place, it was also my drive because no one could tell me different about who they thought I was and what I was capable of. So that for me is just so crucial when it comes to making anybody great. For so many people, they'll assume like, oh, your dad was famous, so he just like handed you fame. And I'm like, no, I had to put in the work because it's really hard. I had to put in the 10,000 hours, but the grace was their support. And for some people, support looks like putting you in college to study environmental law. For some of us, it was, this is our family time, but you're coming to work. I was working nonstop from the time I was 14 years old, literally. Sure. I was a backing vocalist in my dad band. And 21 years later, boom, we out here.
That's really encouraging to hear because not everybody gets that support. I mean, I have peers right now who don't have their parents supporting them for whatever other career that they want to go to because they're constantly they cry if they don't get above 90% because their parents give them that pressure, and it's not a supportive type of pressure. So it's very sad to see that. So it's very encouraging to hear that your parents have always been there supporting you in the career path that you wanted to go into. Because I think I'm also speaking from a similar perspective, because I think if I were to go up to my parents and say, have a little sit down chat and say, I want to become a DJ someday or something like that. I think they would be a little bit shocked maybe, but I think they would support me at the end of the day and say, okay, let's look into it and see.
That's marvelous. I love that. I think as you go further in life, you realize that when people show up coming from a place of purpose, that's when the magic happens. Too many people run after the paycheck, what is supposed to be expected, what is typical. And I'm here for all the... when you don't feel it, the vibrations don't come out right. And at some point you're, 35 years old and you're miserable in your office job, but, but you knew what your passion was, and you need to figure out how to explore that. Even if you're not coming from a place, where your parents are supportive, it is important that you find your tribe, regardless of people who are creatives, because we become each other's cheerleaders as well in the process.
So I've constantly seen around that there's this perception of the starving artist, even when I'm scrolling on TikTok and somebody's going for an audition in New York City, going to want to audition for an acting gig or something like that, everybody else in the comment section is this is where it starts going downhill. You're not going to make any money from this. So from that perception that we always see of the starving artist, do you, from your point of view, to give people some sort of comfort, what are the other source of income that you have other than making your music?
So if I had a dime for every time somebody asked me, so what else do you do besides music? Guys, I'd be a millionaire. And this question drives me nuts. It grates me so hard. But then I also realize that is the narrative that people are coming from. They think we are all struggling and suffering all the time. And to be fair, there are enough people who do find it challenging. And at the beginning, we're told in college or when you're studying music that only 5% of you will make it. But here's the truth, ladies. It is not about your talent. Talent is such a small portion of what makes a person a professional. It's just the beginning stage. So think about a talent show. Okay? That's the talent level. Talent show. But being able to create a career out of that requires going from talent and turning that into a skill, and turning that skill into a profession. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there are different levels, right? I do not do anything outside of the entertainment industry. Quite literally, right down to the fact that I'm an activist. I'm only relevant as an activist because I'm a musician, because people know my brand. That's also a paycheck. So when somebody says like, how do you make your money? Well, let's see. I'm performing, so that's a natural form of income. Well, I'm also a songwriter, so I can get money at any time. When I'm sleeping, I'm making money. Please believe I make money in my sleep. And so what becomes much more the challenge is becoming business-minded. So you have to create the discipline in order to become the professional, which entails also looking at your business in this way, like, oh, so I'm the artist, but you want to party on Friday. You can't party on Friday. You've got a show on Saturday. Your voice is going to go. You're going to have a few drinks. You're going to be up. Everybody's going to, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the next day, you've got an interview at 7 o'clock in the morning. You've got to show up and smile and be perky and not look like who did it and ran. Because people are going to see you in that moment. And that impression that they have, they'll say, oh, we saw that artist on that day and they were looking like. And then they repeat that to their boss who wanted to hire you for a project. And did you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's all these moving parts that people don't look at it from, and I'm just breaking it down like this is a career just like any other. And when you put 110% in it, it comes back. It does.
It's interesting that you say that because, as I've mentioned in the beginning, I do have a strong passion for music as well. So I always wanted to make my own music, make my own songs and experiment. So going into varsity, I was kind of not sure which field I'm gonna go into, but I knew that at the end of the day I have to do something within the traditional jobs, such as the degree that I'm doing right now. It's a BA in communication and psychology.
Nice.
However, I feel like the reason why I chose it is because even the people back at home, they're like, income there, it's guaranteed. When there's processes, we go to school, you graduate, and then after it's like they assume that after you've went to college and you got your qualification, you passed well, you got your distinctions, and then immediately after that stage they expect you to have a job and start getting an income and flourishing. But no, it's really not like that.
It's not.
So it's funny because that's the same thing that I was also scared with pursuing music. I was also scared what if I don't make as much income? What if how am I going to deal with the challenges such as who's going to be my producer, who's going to guide me and whatnot. So do you think that young people can make a sustainable income out of the creative arts?
There has never been a better time to be an African artist. Never. Never before. And I say this because the world is looking to Africa, while Africa is blossoming in the most incredible way. So I'll take you a bit back there because some of the things that you mentioned, like some of the concerns that you had about the producers, I don't think people understand the wide variety of possibilities that are entailed. When you think about the creative, you'll typically just think maybe just the singer, right? That's what everybody thinks. They're just like, oh, you want to do music, or you must want to be a singer, right? But there's so many avenues prior to even getting to that are readily available to you in your immediate space. For example, let's say you need wardrobe. Okay, you need wardrobe. You want to just do something as simple as a photo shoot. Well, clothes are really expensive.
No lie.
Clothes are really expensive. But you know what's not expensive? Creativity. I remember I went to the flea market one time and just found these super short green shorts and a blazer. I had a show in 2 hours. The tailor had completely messed up the outfit and they were cheap. The outfit was cheap. I'm not even going to lie to you. It couldn't have been more than $50 altogether. And I just threw on my gold boots and I rocked him and I looked fantastic. What I'm saying to you is that when you expand how you look at it, you are able to draw from a different place. So I wasn't bound by the limitation that, oh, the designer didn't get my outfit right. So you're sitting there and just like, I've got that pair of pants, I've got that t-shirt. If I cut it this way, or if I just sew it this way and I just move it differently, it's going to turn into something else. And if I do my hair in this way and I fix my eye makeup in this way, and then you put the look together, you've now done your own styling. Hey, in your caption, you'll be styling by me. Do you get what I'm saying? So those are some of the intimidations that you go through. You think about, oh, well, what about songwriting? You can songwrite right now. You don't need anybody there to write a song. You can literally create that all on your own. You want to have food on set. Your mother taught you how to cook, baby girl. You know, I actually remember my mother telling me that she created, like these like mango chutney.
Yeah.
You know, like mango pickle, those kind of things.
Like achar.
Yeah, exactly. She said, I would make those and sell those. She was a realtor, okay? She was a real estate agent, she said. But before I did that, I was working at the bank, and you wanted your cartoons on the weekend as a little girl. So I would sell little mango pickle, samosas, rotis in order to sustain us in that way and keep you entertained. So there's, even when I think about culinary arts, these are things that people don't realize. You were taught that at home. There's something about your hand, your creativity, your sight, your culture that you bring to the table that no one else brings. And the challenge is refining that. Okay, so I want you to go back into your childhood and think about it. Can you ladies think about a time where you experience something? Maybe your grandmother taught you how to knit or crochet, or she taught you something and you were just like, what if I made the sneakers like this and added that, or something. Did you ever have a thought, just an inspired thought about something creative, and then held yourself back because you thought, what are the odds of that being successful?
Yeah. For me, now that you've like said it, and like now it's like actually come to mind, but baking, for example, was something that my grandmother and I used to do like quite regularly.
Yeah.
And like in the moment, it was something that I took for granted because I was like, I'd much rather be watching TV than this.
Also me, I ran from the kitchen on baking. I learned how to cook, but baking, I said,
I'm not doing this. But now I appreciate it more because now I'm able to do it for myself. And it's something that I genuinely enjoy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a form of art, as you said. And it's something that I really do like appreciate that I know how to do. And I know how to do it well now. And I thank her for that. So yeah,
I've seen a baker, I've seen a dancer turn into a professional baker.
Wow.
And her work is incredible. I have seen a musician also become a fashion designer, Feli Nandi. Oh, she gave me the most gorgeous dress the other day. Oh my God. She's a beautiful singer, a beautiful, amazing musician, but she's got this other gift. Do you get what I'm saying? And so it's so much to do with your mentality. How far do you think you can take it? Because there's no limit.
For me, I'd say that I remember a time, also my grandma, when she was still alive, she used to make ikanti from scratch. I don't know, it's like these maize they made out of, I'm not sure what they are, but it's like these little small plastic nyana strains, so she puts them together. You've probably seen it, it's just that I'm not too familiar with the English term.
Sure.
It's usually you're laying them, you sit on them inside the hut. So yeah, she used to make that. And also at school, we all in primary school, we also used to be given like these projects where like you're given a task like go to a certain area and collect clay, and then you come back with that clay to the classroom. And what you do with it is that you shape, it's either you're shaping like a house or a face or a skirt. It's just like that fun sort of creativity. So we used to do those activities and back in primary school as well. So yeah.
There is so much money in sculpture. There is so much money in sculpture. I know that there are people who travel from overseas. They come, they see our sculpture in the streets, because typically we have them, like in the flea market, all those beautiful sculptures you see, and they buy them in bulk. But when they resell them, you might buy something, let's say it's $50. When it's being resold, it's being sold at $500 upwards. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's because somebody just decided to curate. The middleman was like, this is worth more than $50. Somebody realized that the world over, somebody on the other side thinks this is absolutely magnificent and will pay $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 for this very same piece that people were driving past because they're like, art.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's stuff like that that is so consistently overlooked, and it's such a shame because so much money to be made.
And
like-
the ladies in the streets who make those beads that you see all around Joburg.
Yes.
There's some of them, the traditional attires.
Oh my
But
goodness.
some of them, they make them from scratch. And
Yeah.
they also make a lot of money out of those.
Yeah.
So
I'm honestly, some of the traditional way, we're spending easily like $150 easily, just one outfit. Like, we're not even blinking because we're just like, this thing, I'm not going to find this somewhere else. The value is that you can't find it everywhere. It's not like
Exactly.
going to like your regular store and wearing what everybody else can find. And this is where the individual entrepreneur comes into play because you're just like, I'm the only place you're going to find this design.
And I think a
What do you think?
perfect example of that in South Africa especially is like Esther Mahlangu, because that she has been like in the arts industry for decades, and you can see like how much she is like truly dedicated to like presenting African culture and like putting it like out there on the world map. And you can really see that this is a woman that has like put like her heart and soul into like properly showcasing what like South Africa culture is really about.
Yeah.
So she's a perfect example of that.
I love that.
yeah, because I also recently saw in her Instagram, she had one of her art designs like covering a car. So that was really like a really cool thing to have, like, because I don't know if that car it was just there for the Instagram, but seeing it and seeing the car just
Yeah.
customized in her art was just beautiful,
so
phenomenal.
gorgeous.
So yeah, she's also engaging with a lot of people, and
Absolutely.
She's
Look
just
at Karabo
brilliant.
Poppy. Oh my goodness. Karabo's work is... I met Karabo a couple of years back, and I remember at the time her artwork, I don't even know how I stumbled across it. I think I met her on a show, and then I started looking at all this different artwork. I was like, oh, this is so fresh. Next thing you know, she was doing clothing design with it. I saw a restaurant with this massive, like, it was so obvious when you were passing... It was so obvious it was her work. Like a whole design outside this massive restaurant. So beautiful. I was like, oh my God, that's bank. Even KFC worked with her. I was just like, what? It's so great. Sneakers, was it? I want to say it was Nike, but I could be wrong. There's so many ways in which something you think is so simple is actually so massive. And that's the beauty of being a creative. You have to be able to think outside of the box and look at it for what it is. Let's look at Wakanda, okay? Black Panther. Have you watched the movie? What do you remember of it? What did you think?
So I think it came out, 4 years ago or so?
Sure.
And when I watched it for the first time, it was just the first movie that I could watch where it wasn't like a hard-hitting movie about Africa and like the hard struggling, like... So... It was just like such a beautiful movie to see, and especially like it being like a Marvel movie and making it more universal for everybody else to see, and just seeing that like positive sort of utopian vibe of what Africa looked like. It was just like a really beautiful thing to see, and I think that's why it made like such a big impact on the industry and on how people view like the African arts industry and everything. So yeah, it was 10 out of 10.
Special. How about you, girl? Talk to me.
I've also seen Wakanda. My biggest highlight of the entire movie is definitely their attire. Their attire is so lovely and nice, and I feel like it was perfectly displayed in that scene. You know, when they were fighting. I don't want to say it's a mountain because there was also water and there was like a waterfall. Do you guys remember the scene where? So yeah, when the people were just standing there preparing for the fight,
and all the different tribes,
and they're singing and they're chanting.
Yeah.
So for me, that was just like a beautiful representation of African countries and like the Rainbow Nation in general. So for me, their attires was just like screaming, embodying like our cultures and feeling proud to be African. So for me, like the attire and the way that they were just like singing and chanting up there ahead of the fight. So it's just like
perfect.
Yeah.
Let's use this as the example because we're on the same page here. That movie was one of the highest grossing movies of the year, and if not the highest grossing, right? And obviously the culture, that the fandom that came out of it was just this incredible pride of being African. But let's break it down for a second, right? You obviously think about the cameramen, you're thinking about the actors, right? You just came away from talking about the outfits. Those outfits, that designer was actually award-winning for those pieces. That's how intricate, and imagine where she started, right, as a creative. So that's one department. You're thinking about the music, all these different languages, all these different tribes to put together in one piece, and somebody had to create the soundscape that reflected this entire continent. The pressure. We are paying producers anything between $100 to $10,000, if not more, to produce one song.
Phew.
When I'm going into studio, it's costing me about $50 an hour. It may cost me I need, let's say, 3 to 6 hours to create a perfect vocal recording. That's the studio making money, even if you just owned the equipment. Do you get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So there's all these little pockets of things that people don't necessarily think about. Even the hairstylist. Imagine how much money. My sister is an A-list hairstylist. She worked on Lord of the Rings in New Zealand. She's worked with Yara Shahidi, Paris Goebel. My girl is getting it. Okay, that's my big sis. Shout out to Bona Brown. But you look at that, and I remember her working on set, and she was sending me all these behind the scenes, and I thought to myself, gosh, 20 years ago, did she ever imagine she'd be working on Lord of the Rings?
That's crazy.
She's a Zimbabwean girlie. And that's where she got herself. So these are the ways in which people need to unpack when they're viewing something fantastic from this continent. You need to see that our job opportunities are really according to how far you can analyze things. That's it.
Yeah, that's truly incredible, because you get I think she's a producer director, Shonda Rhimes in the US.
Oh,
she
so
is
good.
Incredible, but
So good.
you don't see people award her and give her flowers for the work that she does, but they never think of necessarily like going into that career. So I think it's just it's a weird like dynamic to think of, and
But it's
I
great.
think
We've spoken about it.
It's great. And yeah, it's given us a conversation to talk about, and hopefully one that we continue to talk about.
Love Shonda.
Yeah. So in terms of like going into the into the industry and like having these huge like female figures like in that industry, I think what's so heartbreaking to see is that they get into the limelight, they get their flowers, but they get like so easily criticized and like harshly like criticized for like the things that they do or what they're wearing or anything like that. So from your point of view, as a female artist, like how has it been like going into like the limelight as a female artist? What has your experience been? Because so many of them have been like criticized like for their weight or like being sexualized. So what has that looked like from your point of view?
Oh, child. I mean, I look pregnant right now. They're criticizing me as we speak.
Not so bad.
Look, I've learned to love my body. So there's a number of layers here. I will not G you. I have experienced an incredible amount of challenges that I'm very sure male artists don't have to deal with. So if you look at, have you ever heard the saying, your network is your net worth? No? Oh, well, hold on to that. Okay, you've learned something else today. Your network is your net worth. And so I say this because so much of connecting in this creative industry, because it's not an office. It's not like we have, all these 1,000,001 seminars and we're all going to the same schools and we're all working for the same companies and we're doing the same things. It's so vast, in terms of where the creatives are coming from, where you'll find them, what they're trying to do, right? So you socialize in order to connect. And for instance, let's say there's a client who wants to, create a jingle for his company. It's easier for him to sit down and have drinks with a male artist to discuss whatever they're thinking about for that. Whereas when you sit down for the same drinks, you're also possibly very beautiful. The odds are high that, somebody might get an idea and get into his ego about how he can manipulate the situation in order to get not only the business that he wants, but how he wants you personally, right? I have dealt with situations where you can see that this client is dealing with my manager. I prefer female managers, by the way. I think they're absolutely just phenomenal. The way that they think and the way that they understand is a very nice balance between work and life, because women, I think we operate from a different place. I think we aim for balance. We know we've got to grind and provide, but we also know we have to nurture. And I prefer that, right? So I've gone through those challenges as well, but I push for my manager to be the powerhouse that she is. You will deal with my manager. And even though she still answers to me, because it may be like a mind screw for you, like, you see Ammara just smiling all the time and I'm so polite, and then you offer me this money, I'm like, no, that's not enough. And my whole energy will shift, and people battle to understand, like, because now the businesswoman just showed up and they don't know how to manage that, and all of a sudden you get called names because you're straight up, right? About what you want. I remember one of my backing vocalists coming to me and saying, about a year after we started working together, he says, I was so disappointed when I started working with you. I was like, why? Why? What happened? And he was just like, well, the word on the street was that you were what's the word I can use, guys?
Yeah.
You were a female dog, because and I was just like, wow. And he's just like, and what I realized when I started working with you was that, man, you just want people to do their best. And you'll say it. You'll call it like it is. You expect it. And can everybody just deliver so that we can what? All move forward. We're only as strong as our weakest link. So I've had to do a lot of mental work in terms of not taking so personally how somebody might view me as a woman. I now walk into a room and I expect somebody is going to be attracted to me, and I don't care. Because my looks are only one department of what I'm bringing to the table. I know what I'm bringing of value as an entertainer, as a writer, as an activist, an actress, whatever the capacity is. I have to hold myself in that way. And I think that becomes your safe space when you know what your values and your principles are, and then you surround yourself with people who have similar aesthetics. When I'm online and somebody says, you've gained weight, or you look pregnant, and I'm looking at it like, you know what? I have gained weight, but let me tell you something. It's soft life.
It's the happy way.
It's soft life. So I'm okay with it. And I think I empathize with, American artists, because they're under so much scrutiny to be these perfect, I'm just like, guys, listen, here's what I got. I've got joy coming from a genuine place. When I show up, if I'm on the stage, I'm there because I want to be there. Nobody's pulling my hair, my teeth, my wah, in order for me to deliver. And I think that that's the dream. That's the real dream. It's not being, overwhelmed with millions and millions of dollars, but still being a prisoner, like a golden cage. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're in this golden cage. So what's so nice about a gold cage? You're still in a cage. I didn't work this hard to then answer to 10 million other people. No, I worked this hard so I could be of service to the best of my capacity. And the best doesn't mean I have to sacrifice my mental health. It doesn't mean I have to sacrifice my sanity and my personal life and my individuality in order to accommodate and serve you. That's not right. So there's been, that extreme, unfortunate perspective. But I think if you're an individual who sees it from a different way and you're able to navigate, Sade makes an album every 7 years. And she sells out. She sells out. And I'm like, that woman must be happy. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I want. So I think your definition of success, not just as a woman, but as a person, needs to be more refined as being holistic in your life. too much of anything is no good.
It's not good at all.
I agree 100%.
So, ladies, now that we've had this elaborate conversation, has your perception of the creative industry and its currency changed?
Definitely. I said for me, like, especially hearing like your personal story, like how you came to be, I feel like you said that sometimes it's not even about having capital. Sometimes it's about just working with what you have. So for me, I'm definitely like looking at it at a different perspective. Say I was to wake up tomorrow and say, nah, man, I'm going to give this a shot and try to pursue music. I'm going to try to work with what I have at that moment and not be worried about the future. I just focus in the present moment. And also, you know, sometimes the environment that I was in, it had a lot of impact. Like, you know, sometimes where people would be like, no, you can do it, but like, how far are you going to go with that? So it's more like now I'm going to prove them wrong. Like, I'm really inspired now. And I'm also seeing like with social media also, I can also like find ways that I can make this music thing work, you know. So yeah, I'm definitely inspired now and I'm more informed about it. And to think that in some other countries, they're actually employing so many people and making so much money out of entertainment is really just wow. Like us also as South African, we should also like try to push this thing, and also like probably us ourselves, we should also like engage with local productions more. So yeah, definitely.
That's what she said. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, my perspective has definitely changed after having this conversation, because now I've like really realized, number one, that you know, your arts industry isn't just made up of like just the singer that you see at the forefront. It's the people that are working behind that are making such a big difference, from like the visuals, the sound, the clothing and everything, and just like really appreciating that art and seeing that you can take almost anything that you're passionate, as long as it's art, and you can like make a living for yourself out of that.
Absolutely.
So I think it's like very encouraging, because even if I were like to, I don't know, pursue the like hardcore STEM subjects and go and become a doctor, if I wanted to like become a doctor but also have like my art studio hustle on the side, I can do that. Because like as you said, like you need to have like that balance and you know like that drive that keeps you going within like your career and everything. So I think my perspective is definitely that in terms of like career wise, especially now that I'm in high school and like I need to like start thinking about all of that right now. I think it's like just an eye-opening thing, and it's very comforting that I can go into the art industry while being an environmental lawyer. So I think that's it was a
also
very
if you
nice
want to get into
to
entertainment law, girl, you know it's not too late, because we want more of you guys on the ground.
Yeah, you can definitely multitask, like, because why can't you be a psychologist while owning a jewelry line? So definitely,
no reason why
our
not.
perspective has changed a lot. So
Marvelous.
your intel was very much effective for me.
Brava. Thank you so much, ladies. This has been such an incredible podcast. My brain has been stretched over the period of my life, but I felt that I poured in the best ways, and you made it so worth it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. My name is Ammara Brown, and I cannot wait to see you on the next episode of That's What She Said. See you later.
That's what she said.